What happened to the market in 2023? Did the market crash in 2023 in Seattle? Hey there, it's Brennen Clouse. I'm your favorite Seattle area realtor and back again. Today, we're talking about what happened in the market in 2023 for King County and the greater Seattle area. If you don't know anything about me, my name's Brennen. I left Microsoft years ago to start helping people one-on-one invest in their future, build wealth through real estate, and live a life they love. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're talking all about the market in 2023 and what exactly happened. I'm gonna take you through step by step to see what the numbers mean and how I interpret them from the last year. Let's get started. Okay, so here you can see we have the 2023 annual report on Central Puget Sound housing market. So this includes counties like King County, where Seattle is. And so that's what we're going to go through today. So first and foremost, let's do the quick facts. This is for residential, so single family homes, as well as condos. So in terms of the number of closed sales in 2023 for this region, it was down 25.1%. So there were about 43,866 homes that were closed. If you look at King County specifically, the number was slightly lower at down 24% and 24.2% in King County, but the average across Kitsap, King, Central Puget Sound, Snohomish, and Pierce counties was 25.1%. In terms of the number of pending sales, that was also down on average 20.1%. Now that's about 44,845 pending or under contract sales. In King specifically, that was negative, down 19.5%. So what does this really mean? Really what we see here is that the peak in the number of closed sales was in 2021 over the past 5 years. Same for pending sales. So we are seeing a lot fewer homes close. It doesn't mean that there's absolutely no homes closing, but it means that there are quite a lot fewer. Same with pending. Pending and close are down for a 5-year high down. So it is important to note that if you are thinking about selling, this means you have a lot less competition in the past year and probably going into 2024, as well as if you're thinking about buying, this means you might have a lot of competition because there are fewer closings that are happening. Whereas even though it was competitive in 2021, there was a lot of homes for sale. There was more inventory on the market. We see that trend continue in terms of the number of new listings. This was down on average 28%. For King County specifically, it was down 26.8% in terms of new listings. So again, for buyers, there are a lot fewer homes for sale, so you may experience increased competition, specifically in King County, where I work, but across the board of all 5 of these counties. For sellers, you have a lot less competition. And the median sales price, even though we had fewer listings and a lot of people are talking about, oh, the market might be crashing or it's going down, the median sales price was actually pretty steady over the past year compared to the year before that. So the median sales price shot up from 2021 to 2022 by 9.5%, and then it only went down about 2.2% on average. For King County, that is a little more, it went down 2.6%. Now remember, this is the median sales price, so it's right in the middle. What this means is that even though there are fewer listings, the market is a little bit slower, meaning that the interest rate is higher, so we have fewer people buying. That does not impact the price as significantly as the number of new listings that are on the market. So even though we had a big drop in number of new listings year over year, we do not see a big drop in the number of or the median price of the sales. So that's really important to know. You're not necessarily getting a deal because there are fewer listings or the market is slower. Moving on to the average sales price. So again, similar trend, the average sales price went down just 2% from 2022. Specifically in King County, this was only 1.9%. So again, we're not seeing a lot of huge discounts. And this is important to note because I think sometimes buyers come in and think the market is slower, I'm gonna get a big discount. We may see things like credits from the seller happening, but we're not seeing huge discounts on the price. As sellers, this means that you are still going to get a good price, but you have to make sure to prepare the home for the right market and the right buyer demographic. That's why you hire us to help you do just that. Now the percent of list price received. So this is essentially saying based on the list price, how much did the home sell for compared to that. In 2023, it was 100.3%. So on average, we saw homes sell for 0.3% above the list price. In King County, that was down 3.7% from last year. Overall, it was down 3% amongst these 5 areas. So you can see the height of that was in 2021, where we saw homes going about 5.2% over the list price. Now, the months of supply of inventory, this basically means if we stop bringing homes on the market in this year, how long would it take to sell everything that's still listed? Months of supply is a great way to know if we're in a buyer's market or a seller's market. Anything below 3 months of supply means the market is moving quickly. We're in a seller's market. Anything 4 to 6 months is typically a balanced market, and anything 6 months or above is a buyer's market. So as you can see, over the past 5 years, we've never moved to a balanced market or a buyer's market. It was about 1.1 months of supply in 2023. This is down from 2022 when we saw 1.3 months of supply. So it actually means that it's been more favorable for sellers in 2023 than it was in 2022. If you remember 2022, that's when the interest rates first started to go up quite a bit. There was a stall in the second half of the market. Now, inventory of homes for sale, you can see there were 3,981. That's down about 32%. On average for King County, that was down 29.2%. So there is still homes on the market. You can see a big reason that the demand was so high and homes were selling so far over the list price in 2021 is because that's when we saw the lowest inventory of homes for sale. That shot back up in 2022, and now in 23 has come down a little bit. Okay, as we move on, average days on market for residential in 2023 was 28. Average days on market for a condo was 29. You can see this chart here shows you the days on market, how in 2021, well, really in 2020, that really started to drop right during the pandemic, continued coming down in 21, and then started to rebound in 2022, came up quite a bit in the middle of 23 to almost a peak, and then has started to come back down. So the market is starting to move a little quicker now that we're into 2024. My prediction is that in 2024, we will probably see these average numbers come down a little bit. Okay, when we look at 1 year change in price for residential, this is based on median sales price. It's down 2.6%. For condos, it's down 1%. The median sales price specifically was around $706,000. Now that's across all of these counties. If you were just looking at King County, you'd probably see the median sales price closer to $1 million, around $944,000. The median sales price for the condos in these 5 areas is $485,000. Next, we're going to look at the price ranges and how long they sit on the market. So if we look at the $400,000 to $6,000 price range, this is the shortest average days on market. That was about 27 days on market. The highest average days on market is the $600,000 to $1 million price range, which was at 30 days on market. And the other two in the middle are below 400 was about 28 and over $1 million was 27. The number of homes for sale under 400,000 used to be quite a bit higher. Obviously, as prices go up and we see inflation, this changes. So it used to be over 25% back in 2019. Now we see that dropping below 10% in 2023. So 9.6% of the homes for sale at the end of the year were under 400,000. And that number is down 35.5% from 2022. So the price range also with the most closed sales is 600,000 to $1 million. The price range with the strongest 1 year change in sales is 400,000 and below, and that's because it's down. Price range with the fewest closed sales is 400,000 and below, and then the price range with the weakest 1 year change in sales is $1 million or more. So the number of closed sales by price range, you can see all of these are trending down because we have fewer closings overall. But you can see that we have the most listings in these 5 counties between 600K to $1 million, followed closely by 400 to 600K. Now, if you were looking at this chart specifically for Seattle, these would probably skew a little bit higher. So you'd see a bit higher price ranges. Probably in Seattle specifically, you would see the most homes in the 600,000 to $1 million, or potentially $1 million and above. Those would be the higher price ranges we would see the most sales in. So now we're going to look at the reduction in closed sales of 2 bedrooms or fewer. That was down 32%. 4 bedrooms or more was down 26.2%. So if you look across these counties, market share of 4 bedrooms or more, King County is the smallest of these 4. So there's only 33.7% of homes with 4 bedrooms or more in King County. Kitsap County has the most with almost 50%. Now, if you look at the number of closed sales of 2 bedrooms or fewer, only 1,900 in 2023, only 7,500 homes had 3 bedrooms or more, and then about 17,000 had 4 bedrooms or more. So 4 bedrooms or more does make up a bigger portion of the market, but for the counties, King County has the smallest share of those 4 bedrooms. So that's important to know if you are looking for a bigger house with more bedrooms. Now, the percent of list price received in 2023 for all properties was about 100.3%. We already talked about that stat. For 2 bedrooms or fewer, that dropped down to about 99%. For 3 bedrooms, that was 100.1%. And for 4 bedrooms, that was 100.7%. So you can see these vary a little bit. People are willing to pay slightly more based on these numbers for a 3 bedroom or a 4 bedroom as compared to a 2 bedroom. Now, when we're talking about the percent of list price received or how much the home sold for, you can see these trend lines that each of them, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, and 4 bedroom, all peaked in 2022. In the first half of 2022, started to come down in 2023 where they hit the bottom and are now slightly coming back up. Again, it is important to note that a lot of these were over 100 for the past 2 years. It dropped below 100 for 2 bedrooms in the beginning of 2023 and barely for 3 bedrooms in the beginning of 2023. So for sellers, this really means that you are, if you're pricing your home correctly, on average, you're going to get 100% of that list price. Now, it is important that you think about the price as an invitation to your clients who are going to be purchasing that, or your prospective buyers. And that's really important to do, because if you do not do that, you can't expect 100%. You have to think about these are averages, but also these are homes that probably are priced well, the ones that are going to get 100% of the list price or more. So pricing is a very important key to making sure that you get that 100%. Last but certainly not least, we're looking at the total number of closed sales in King County. It was a little over 21,000. That's down 24% from last year and 32% from 2019. There were 26,000 new listings. Average days on market was 26, so that is pretty short. It's shorter than each one except for Snohomish County here. King County was at about 1 month of supply and on average 100.3% of the list price received. Now, looking at the prices over the years, we see in King County, it has gone from 620,000 on average in 2019 all the way up each year to 820,000 in 2022, which is a peak, but has come back down, as we talked about, that about -2% decrease to 799 on average in King County. Again, like I mentioned, that is a change from 2022 of about 2.6% down, a change from 2019 though up by 28.9%. So over time, you can see homes have appreciated quite a lot, almost 30% in the past 5 years. But keep in mind that the market does fluctuate, and we really see that here going from 2022 to 2023 with the interest rates rising, and seeing that there are differences and that you have to be aware and make sure that you're thinking about the timing of the market, specifically when you sell. For sellers, this does mean that we saw a little bit of a dip in price between 2022 and 23, But my prediction is that we will see that negative 2% made back up in 2024 as we see prices start to come up. That will also be aided by the interest rate hopefully coming down. We don't expect it to drop a lot, but we think the peak was in November of 23, right around 8%, and now we're seeing that come back down. Hopefully it will drop to the mid to low sixes by the end of 2024. So we're hoping that that plays a big impact on what buyers can afford. So this basically shows you that yes, prices came down slightly, but for sellers, you don't have a lot of competition in the market. Now could be your time to make a move if you'd like to. And for buyers, you should be very aware that there are very few homes listed. We don't expect a lot of other homes coming in. So be aware that you need to be on your A game. You need to have a strategy and a plan going into buying so that you can compete if you need to. If you are thinking about buying or selling in the Puget Sound area, I would love to be able to help you. You can book time with me in the links below. You can reach out to me in any way that is comfortable to you, and I'd be more than happy to talk with you. Hopefully you found these numbers and this data helpful to go over what happened in the market in 2023, and I look forward to connecting with you more. If you have other questions or you have commentary about the market, I'd love for you to leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can get notified of all of my future videos. Thanks for tuning in.